of the items on many people's bucket lists when they come to Chicago is to visit the second oldest ballpark in Major League Baseball and the oldest in the National League. Wrigley Field first opened in 1914, and the Cubs began playing here in 1916. Yet it wasn't until this year that the fans who attended a game at this place, affectionately known as the Friendly Confines, first heard the public address voice of a black announcer.
When then 21-year-old Jeremiah Paprocki took the mic on May 17th for a game against the Washington Nationals, he made history, becoming the first black PA announcer for the Chicago Cubs, one of Major League Baseball's charter franchises, which began play in 1876.
I still feel like I'm still settling in. Every time I walk into the press box and into my PA booth, it still feels unreal that this is my job and I get to come up here and call this work.
At what point did it hit you, and how often does it hit you in terms of how significant your position is?
It hits me every so often, especially when I'm here, because when you're here, you feel the energy and you feel the history, and knowing that now you're a part of it, it really means a lot, especially being a lifelong Cubs fan.
So how did this even begin, this incredible journey of yours? How did it start to where you are now winding up not believing what you're doing for every home game?
It started as a kid. I've always been into sports. I would go to a lot of games, especially here. I'd come 2 to 3 times a year. Shout out to my mom, thank you for that. That's the reason why I'm a Cubs fan today. I would sit in the bleachers, I'd mimic the announcers. It's something I picked up as a kid. The Bulls intro was always fascinating to me. So in getting into high school, I was like, all right, time to start looking at something I should get into for a living. And I found out that being a sports announcer was a thing, and I was like, okay, I got a good voice. People say I got a good voice. I can get into this.
How long have you had this booming baritone of yours?
I like to say around 7th, 8th grade, because I know I was playing around with it in elementary school, but it's just not something that I had the opportunity to take seriously until high school. So I know for sure 7th, 8th grade was like when I knew I had a voice, but like high school is when I knew I could use it. So.
The longest tenured active PA announcer is Dan Baker, who just completed his 50th season announcing games for the Philadelphia Phillies. He started in 1972. Famed late New York Yankees PA guy Bob Shepard did games in the Bronx for 57 seasons. And the all-time Major League record is believed to be 59 seasons by one of Jeremiah's predecessors, Pat Piper, who was the voice of Wrigley Field starting in the Cubs' first season there, 1916.
Could you see yourself doing it for that long?
Of course.
And would you want to?
Of course. I mean, this is Wrigley Field, and I get to be the voice of it. Like, who wouldn't want to live out their life and say that that's your job? So obviously I can't predict the future. I'd like to, do some things around it, but still keep Cubs as my priority. So I got big shoes to fill, a lot of years to catch up to Pat Piper, but that would be nice to have beaten Pat Piper's record and say that I've been the longest serving PA announcer at Wrigley Field. So that'd be really cool. But yes, the goal is to be here as long as possible.
And look, hopefully when that happens, they will dig this up from the time capsule. We'll have this on tape, right?
Yeah,
and
it's on
they'll
tape.
be able to look at it. Yeah, you'll be able to show the grandkids that at one point,
exactly.
At one point you had hair and you're a young guy, right?
Take advantage of the afro while I have it still.
Right. Okay, so we've established Jeremiah's job and how he's made history, but where did his love for the Cubs come from? Well, it turns out he's not the first member of his family to work here.
My mom used to work at Wrigley Field, and she worked in the parking lot as a parking attendant / security. And it even goes way back to like my grandfather. He came to America and Chicago and was like, I'm a Cubs fan, and came to Cubs games, and he would take my mom, and then she took the gig in the parking lot from like 97 to 98, right before she had me. And then when she had me, she would come to games, and she'd make sure that I'd come to games. So, all the credit is due to my mom. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in this position where I'd be exposed to sports, listening to announcers, wanting to mimic them, and then ending up having a chance to be the voice of Wrigley Field. So, yes, all the credit is due to my mom. Thank you, Mom.
If someone were to ask you how you would define this storybook tale, how would you best define it?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how I would define it yet because it's still very new to me. I've only been in that seat since May, and like I said many times, I still can't believe it. So, but if I was to define it, I'd say that it's magical, just knowing that I came as a kid and growing up in the Cubs community and to now be in that seat, and like I said, here have all these people hearing me now. It's very magical to see that all the hard work pays off, and that now I get to be a part of the Cubs culture and the Cubs history for a very long time.
All right, so Jeremiah off to a great start. That was a lot of fun going up there to speak with that history-making young man who's still, by the way, Tashani, a senior at the University of Illinois Chicago. It is, yeah. So he was 21 back in May when he first got the gig, 22 now. And again, I asked him, how long he's had that voice, and he said since about 7th or 8th grade.
Because it's booming.
Yes, yes. So again, hopefully this is the first year of many to come for Jeremiah with that organization. An organization he loves. As he said, he's been going to games with his mom since he was a little tiny tot
So
at
beautiful.
Wrigley Field, and now he's the voice of Wrigley Field.
What were you doing at 22?
Not up to any good. I certainly was not as mature as him.
With a job, no, with a career.
Yeah, yeah.
Still in college.
And again, hopefully, this is the first of many years to come. We saw that list of those gentlemen who've been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
And you can certainly see him being in that position, and also
Totally.
doing many other things.
Yeah.
But he will graduate in the spring. Wish him the very best, and it was a treat to visit with him. Thanks to Matt Bell for putting that together as well.